This is Elder Rasan Shakur out of New Orleans, Louisiana, coming to you with another informative video. Peace and blessings to all the melanated family and mankind. But family, this is my analysis on the serious border crisis that's going on at the south border of the United States of America. What I can't understand, why they ain't got no military presence there. They got some guards, this, that, the other. I was looking at a clip, and there was almost 1,000 people coming into America every day. Bunch of them out there ain't got no masks on. You don't know what kind of disease they bringing in here. Where they gonna live at? They got a whole bunch of homeless people already in America. Joe Biden, that's Joe Biden bullshit. That's his bullshit right there. Letting all these motherfuckers come in here and they got a pandemic going on. Where the fuck they gonna live at? They got people in America ain't got nowhere to stay, ain't got no jobs. But it's these Democrats. And you notice a lot of states are opening up now. So that's Biden playing anyway, that the Democrats bring all these illegal people in here. You don't know what kind of disease they got, or nothing else. But that's the game playing, in the mind game that they're playing on. And why they ain't got no military. If I was the president, there'd be military presence at the border. You can't go in no other people's country like that. All them other countries don't even allow no shit like that. You're just gonna let a bunch of motherfuckers come in here during a pandemic. No job, no nothing. Who gonna feed them when they got people in America can't get nothing to eat? Well, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this border crisis that Biden's trying to pull off. Bring all these illegal people in here, and the people in America are suffering financially, morally, spiritually, and everything else. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it, family, in the comment section. Please share this video. If you don't do nothing, please share this video. And put up the likes, and stay tuned for the next video. And I'm really going to try to do a live stream today, family. I may post what time I might start. Probably later on today. I got a lot of videos I'm going to make today, and I'm going to try to do a live stream. Peace and love, and I'm out.
You are among your loved ones.
Hello, kill the beat.
This is Rapper News. 100% without a shadow of a doubt. Today, I am going to prove to every Christian that you are 100% worshiping the image of the beast, aka the devil. Today, when I prove, and please have patience with the message, you're going to get frustrated a little. But inside that frustration, you're going to hear the truth. When you hear the truth, open your heart to the truth and repent for your idolatry. Get into it. Revelations 12:7. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angel fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, which is what? Christ crucified, Lucifer, aka Satan, and the Gentiles, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the grand dragon, the great dragon, was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation, and the strength and kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Lucifer, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Satan, and the power of his Christ. After Satan was cast out, they fallen down from heaven. A voice is saying, here comes a kingdom of our God, and the power of that kingdom is Christ. You've been worshiping the devil. It's right there, it's clear. But we're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to open your eyes up today. Salvation and the strength and kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Lucifer, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Satan, and the power of his Christ. After Satan was cast out, they fallen down from heaven. A voice is saying, here comes a kingdom of our God, and the power of that kingdom is Christ. You've been worshiping the devil. It's right there, it's clear. But we're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt. The devil. It's right there, it's clear. But we're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to open your eyes up today. It's clear. But we're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to open your eyes up today. Ephesians 4:9. Now that he ascended, that means he was coming down. 4:9. Now that he ascended, that means he was coming down. Ephesians 4:9. Now that he ascended, that means he was coming down. But that he also descended first into the lower parts of heaven. But that he also descended first into the lower parts of heaven, of the earth, which is hell, for your idolatry. Get into it. Revelations 12:7. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, which is what? That old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation, and the strength and kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Lucifer, and the power of his Christ. Our God, which is Satan, and the power of his Christ. After Satan was cast out, they fallen down from heaven. A voice is saying, here comes a kingdom of our God, and the power of that kingdom is Christ. You've been worshiping the devil. Power of that kingdom is Christ. You've been worshiping the devil. Power of that kingdom is Christ. You've been worshiping the devil.
They were created for, right? Let's just, their movement, their wandering, their moving. That's the important information about their movement. They're wandering, they're moving. That's the important information about their movement. They're wandering, they're moving. But for what? Now we see in that Bible verse that the Most High made everything, right? So what I want to do is let's just go back to what they were created for, right? Let's step aside from everything that the world has told us about them, and let's look at their purpose, because they have a purpose, right? So let's start with their movement. And so let's define the word orbit, because an orbit is a regular repeating path that one object in space takes around another. So here's the sun, and here would be Mercury, right? And the way it moves, this is the orbit. So the way each of them move around, that's called their orbit, right? So So an object in an orbit is called a satellite. So sometimes if you're looking, you'll see like different things in between, and those would be called like, sometimes they have the artificial satellites that you'll see. So a satellite can be natural, like the Earth or the Moon, and many planets have moon that orbit them, okay? So this is just their orbit. And the interesting thing about the planet stars is that they move in retrograde motion. Not in retrograde, but counterclockwise. And they also go in retrograde also. But they move counterclockwise. And remember we talked about how the sun not only goes in clockwise, but it also goes in a counterclockwise movement against the backdrop of the constellations, and that is how we determine the ages. And so do these. They move in that same direction also. Essentially, when we're looking at the heavens, you guys, we're looking at a big time stamp, but they have creation roles. That's how awesome the Most High is. That's why when you study this stuff, there's no way you can say that there's not a God. There's no way. There's no way. And the people the scientists and all these other people, they know there's a God. But they promote to society that there's not one. They're brainwashing them. Simple as that. They're brainwashing them. So here, the planet stars, they move counterclockwise, like I just said in the previous slide. Their movement can be expressed mathematically, much like everything else in creation. Math was not created, it was discovered. Before there was language, there was math. And even how the heavens are put up, the world creation, it can all be expressed in a mathematical formula or some mathematical expression, right? So here you have the planet stars moving here in retrograde. And here you have the stars in the background, like I told you. And here the planets, them just moving in retrograde. All in a circle, the circle of life. Remember Ezekiel saw that wheel? Okay. So, what's interesting, what I found is interesting about the planet stars is that they, in ancient times, the 7 musical notes were assigned to the 7 heavenly bodies in various symbolic arrangements. So here you have the planet teachments. Into the ancient times, the 7 musical notes were assigned to the 7 heavenly bodies in various symbolic arrangements. So here you have the planets here, and here you have the musical notes that they correspond with. 0.618, and it's represented by the Greek letter phi, right? So the golden ratio is sometimes called the divine proportion because of its frequency. Because of its frequency in the natural world. The number of petals on a flower, seeds of sunflowers, pine cone twists, even the sides of an unpeeled banana, they all come out to this formula. And they're still going to go get it. You're telling them, hey, the Most High is coming. You're warning people, and in your head, it makes so much sense to you. But they're not getting it. They're calling you crazy. They don't want to be around you. You're a fanatic. The world is demonizing people who speak out now as...
And that's what rap news keep talking about. You keep saying the Creator's coming. I've been telling y'all for a while the Creator's not coming. The Creator's gonna let the devil pick judgment That's the agreement. And then when he's finally all done, then the Creator's going to send a good army. And a good army is going to be us. And they know that. If you would have put all the pieces together by now, you would understand why they at this point and trying to push some of the things on you. Because they don't want you to go cool. They don't want that DNA to do what it do. And then here you got this solar solstice. See? And what she don't realize is that she started off good, praising the Creator. Information started off good, but then she got into all this stuff here. Sun worship. Sun worship. Proving solar solstice that people are serving the sun worship, devil worship. Stop serving the devil. Maybe some of y'all understand what I just showed you. Serve the Creator only. The Creator is on a high frequency called 432. Not this frequency that they put in there that you've been in called the Matrix.
As Iran blames Israel for yet another explosion at sea and vows to retaliate. Plus, Iran unveils a new missile city while Israel debuts a groundbreaking new weapon. The Middle East never sleeps. Get all the breaking details coming up. Hey folks, Eric Stacklebeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. Yet another very busy weekend in the Middle East. We have an update for you on the tanker wars, the ongoing sabotage at sea between Israel and Iran. Today, March 15th, an Iranian official said that Iran has the right to respond to the latest in this series of explosions aboard cargo ships. This one came last week aboard an Iranian cargo ship in the Mediterranean Sea. There was no major damage caused, but there was an explosion aboard this Iranian ship. Now the Iranian regime says they have the right to respond. Now, a little bit of background here, folks. On our Friday, March 12th newscast, we told you about a Wall Street Journal report last week saying that Israel has targeted at least 12 Iranian vessels at sea over the past 2 years. Now, these Iranian ships were reportedly carrying oil and weapons to Iran's close ally, Syria, and the Assad regime there. Israel's concern is that not only will the weapons be used by terror organizations like Hezbollah to target Israelis, but also that the profits from the oil will go to fund terrorist acts and terrorist organizations. So Israel reportedly has taken action using mines to harm these Iranian vessels. None of them has been sunk. There have been no casualties. At least 2 of the Iranian ships have had to turn back and head to Iran. But Israel clearly sending a message, and yet another reportedly explosion in the Mediterranean last week. Now Iran is calling for retaliation. The thing is, you could say that Iran has already retaliated in a sense. We've told you here in the newscast about the MV Helios Ray. That's the Israeli-owned cargo ship that was struck by what the Israelis believe was an Iranian mine just last month on February 25th in the Gulf of Oman. So this is going back and forth now. The war at sea, the shadow war at sea, you could call it the tanker war. Many of these Iranian vessels were apparently carrying oil, but this continues now. Iran is vowing retaliation. It's a bit of a new front, I guess you would say, the front at sea between Israel and Iran, and now cargo ships being targeted on a regular basis. We will continue to keep an eye on this for you. In the meantime, Israel unveiled what they're calling a groundbreaking new weapon this weekend. It is called Iron Sting, not to be confused with Iron Dome, the anti-missile defense system. Iron Sting is a mortar, and the Israel Defense Forces say it is groundbreaking because of its accuracy. It can be used in urban warfare and limit the amount of civilian casualties. Remember, Hamas and Hezbollah, they're all about urban warfare, fighting in close quarters in urban areas among civilians. They do it intentionally. To all the pro-Hamas and Hezbollah commenters out there who praise them as freedom fighters, these are people who intentionally use women and children as human shields. Israel has very strict rules of engagement. Many times they will turn back. They do not want to harm civilians. Hamas and Hezbollah don't care about human life, so they have no hesitation in putting women and children in front of them and seeing them dead. That's who they are, folks. They are terrorists. They are not freedom fighters. You know, I'll never forget being on the Lebanon border a few years ago. I've been there many times, but on the Israel-Lebanon border, hey, that's where Hezbollah lives and breathes, right there in southern Lebanon, along Israel's northern border. And it's a beautiful countryside there. It truly is. But you wouldn't know what's lurking beneath in those homes in southern Lebanon. I was with a former Israeli intelligence analyst who agreed. He said, hey, it looks beautiful, right? But inside those homes are Hezbollah fighters who have literally taken over those civilian homes, store weapons, rockets, missiles in those homes in southern Lebanon. So that's what Israel is dealing with. And because they have such strict rules of engagement, and because they actually have regard for human life, they're developing weapons that will severely limit and reduce any possibility of civilian casualties. Iran, on the other hand, and Hezbollah, on the other hand, again, no hesitation in killing civilians. An Israeli major general said just today at a conference in Israel today, Monday, March 15th, that in the next conflict with Hezbollah, here on the newscast, we've called it the Great Northern War, the coming Great Northern War. In that conflict, Hezbollah, Iran's most lethal proxy, based in southern Lebanon, from that base, will be able to target Israel with some 2,000 rockets and missiles per day in the next conflict. Now, folks, rewind to the 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah did not have that volume of rockets and missiles launched at Israel on a daily basis, many, probably hundreds per day. Big news coming out today out of the Middle East. Iran unveiled a missile city featuring basically the footage released by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, which is the elite vanguard of the Iranian regime, right? They control the nuclear weapons program, the finances, much of the weaponry, the missile program. I compare them to the Gestapo under the Nazi regime, but perhaps even more influential is the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. They unveiled this missile city featuring rows on the footage they released of missiles, cruise missiles, rockets, tools for what they say is electronic warfare as well. This is not a novelty, folks. Iran, over the past, probably the past 6 or 7 months, has released several videos showing what they call missile cities. Now, apparently, these are underground missile cities, and many of them reportedly dot Iran's Persian Gulf coastline. Now, folks, if you think none of this matters, the Middle East is thousands of miles away from where you live. It does not affect you. Think again, because what happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East. Events unfolding in that region right now will profoundly affect all of us, no matter where we live. Look no further than a story we reported last week here on the newscast. The Houthi rebels in Yemen, Iran-backed of course, targeting Saudi oil facilities. Now, you take some of those Saudi oil facilities offline, you will have a major increase in gas prices in the United States, where I live, and really around the world, and it will have a profound impact on the global economy. Remember, we are all interconnected right now economically across the globe, for better or for worse. And such an attack.
In terms of simulations that have been conducted, we now have information that has been declassed. Taking a look here at what's going on with the militaries of the United States and China, and Well, what the experts are saying here in terms of simulations that have been conducted, we now have information that has been declassified showing that these simulations go back about a decade, and that each and every time that they have conducted this, China has won. Not only has China won within a very short time frame, and almost all of these situations are centered around Taiwan. An assault on Taiwan, and this goes back, like I said, a decade. What it does not calculate in is this current administration's money and planning at this point, but if you go back throughout history and you look at all the defensive spending and all the money put out there toward war, they try to say that the United States fell behind China here because they were busy running around the globe chasing the boogeyman, militants. Here on this world stage, as China has made progressive leaps and bounds, and they have also carried out their own little bit of wargaming. They did this over Taiwan, where they did like 40 runs over Taiwan, acting like they were bombing it. And this concerned Taiwan greatly. And all the way up to currently, in terms of declassified information, they're saying even as close as 2018, when they ran the simulation, our blue team, which represented the United States, got beat by China. They end this whole talk by saying that there is a chance that they could stifle them by making China question their abilities. They don't go into greater detail, and we know that there's a ton of equipment and supplies that sit on the sidelines and technologies that we've never seen that can be used in these wars. And all too often people always want to think that the United States has the upper hand regardless. Well, here on this world stage, things play out a little differently than what people expect because sometimes these things are scripted. I'm going to break that down further on my thoughts on that and where this is all going from here on the next live stream. So make sure to join me on like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. This week it'll be Wednesday and Friday. Hope to see you guys there.
That's coming to the recorded superpowers. That's coming to the Israelites. Woo! 70 superpowers, guys. 70 superpowers. Woo! 70 superpowers. Right here. Right here. King Obadiah's 70 Hebrew Israelite Superman superpowers. Woo! Blessed by Yahweh Yahushua. So to the 12 tribes of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah! 70 superpowers, guys. 70 superpowers. Yeah! Now, if you go to my community section and click on the link, you get the 70 recorded superpowers in the earth. Woo! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. 70 superpowers, baby! Yeah! All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh and Hamashiach Yahushua.
No, to the Most High only and nobody else. Pray it only, nobody else.